Are moving back to the US, to Atlanta, actually, right? We just had a speaker
That's
from
correct.
Latvia, and we discussed this weird trade of Krista Porzingis to Atlanta Hawks. We still just don't understand what's going on there. So maybe you can clarify something, yes?
I wish I
So,
could clarify for you, Sergey. I wish I could.
yes, yes, yes. No, sometimes it happens. So, Chase, you are here with us, and it's your showtime. The microphone is yours, and stage is yours. If you are ready, you can share your
Yep,
screen. And,
I am always ready. Very excited to be here today. This is actually, this is like the first virtual conference that I've done, I think, since like 2020 or 2021. Everything else I've done has been in person. So I'm like really excited about this because I think it's a great setup. You guys are doing some great things here. Can you guys see my screen? Like, and I hate to say
yes,
that and
yes.
sound like a typical, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a millennial, but I'm not going to pick on any boomers here. But anyways, so we're here to talk about content that sells versus content that goes viral. We're going to be talking about really driving and creating demand, driving revenue, and then, of course, building loyalty because loyalty is what's going to be keeping people coming back and buying, whether it's your product or your service. And that's how you really grow that revenue kind of month over month. So before we get into it, I'll just do a quick introduction. And also, I want to apologize. My assistant is the person who pulled these slides together. So it's not like my typical presentation. It probably has more words than I like, but I just want to call that out because I'm going to send this out to everyone too, so that way you guys have it and all that fun stuff. But as Sergey said, I am Chase. I'm the founder of Social Playbook, where me and my team create content that generates real demand and drives revenue. We're not really focused on vanity metrics like likes. We're focused more on what we can do to help people build businesses, grow businesses, and turn in money. So why am I even here today? I built an audience of 180,000 across all of my platforms. My biggest one being Instagram, and my biggest revenue driver, honestly, being LinkedIn. I've been very fortunate to have been featured in Business Insider, BBC News, Fortune Magazine, New York Post. I mean, there's a bunch that are there that I just won't go through the list on. And before I was doing Social Playbook, I actually was working in marketing at Starbucks. I've worked at Amazon and I've worked at Nestle. So maybe some brands that y'all have heard of. And today we're going to talk about like not chasing the wrong kind of attention. I've fallen victim to that myself. So I want to make sure that everyone here is able to get value from it and not be focused on trying to become internet famous. Some people go internet famous for the wrong reasons. We're here to go internet famous for the right reasons, but we're here really to drive revenue. Um, so look, most content fails because it's built to be liked. It's not really built to be bought. Virality is what gets you attention, but demand is what creates trust with people, and trust is what really ends up converting people down the line. When you're focused on virality, on attention, there's a lot of agencies out there that'll sell you on like, we'll make your content go viral, we'll go viral. And yeah, that might get you views and it might get you attention from people. And maybe you're walking down the street and somebody recognize you, but that's not really going to build you a business. When you actually start creating trust and building trust with your audience and talking to them one to one, that's what's going to earn you credibility and position you as the solution. And then once you build that trust, that's what turns followers into customers. And it's not going to it's not going to get your follower count that high. It's not going to get you like all of a sudden you think that you're going to be going to like the TikTok awards, because I'll tell you that that's really difficult to get into anyways. But we don't want to focus on vanity metrics. We want to focus on what actually comes in and hits your bank account. So, quick little story for y'all. My first time ever going viral was actually on LinkedIn. It was back in 2017. As I was going back through it this morning, I think it was one of my first posts on LinkedIn. It exploded for the most part. It got 4,000 likes back then, which truly was like pretty rare. I was thrilled by the attention spike. I was sitting on a bus going into my job at Starbucks, and I was like, doom refreshing my notifications because I was like, what the hell is going on? This is crazy. But the worst part that can happen when you go viral is that you have no plan on what to do next. So the buzz faded like very, very fast. I ended up launching a blog that turned into a podcast. and I got maybe like 10 people to follow my blog or podcast from that post. I was going back commenting on it. I was trying to get people in. But it's kind of like the news cycle. If you don't have it ready to go at that moment, then you're just going to have like, I have empty dopamine up here. I mean, it is a high when you go viral, but I would say a sustaining high when you have money coming into your bank account. So, the line here, attention without system is just noise, is very true. It's really cool in the moment. Your friends are going to find it really cool. Everyone that you talk to is going to find it really cool. But if it's not turning into dollars, then what is it there for? So, like I said, like you're gonna have a bunch of agencies that you talk to, more than likely, more often than not, maybe even cold pitching you on how they can make you go viral. The truth behind it is that viral content is designed for like dopamine hits. I just saw this girl on TikTok last week who had like 40 million views on a video, but her next video got like 500 views, and she still only had like 2,000 followers. Like, it's not really there to help you build a business. It's there to make you happy, get you addicted to the platform, and then move on from that. Selling content is really designed to build trust over time. And you want to build trust with these people. As we talked about loyalty before, when you have loyal customers, they're going to continue coming back and buying from you every single day. So the saying here is like, virality is loud. Yes, it grabs attention, but it fades just as fast as you grab that attention. But the demand that you really want is really quiet. It really compounds slowly through consistency, trust, and delivering that real value that people are going to remember. And frankly, that people are going to talk about when they're talking to their friends, their community, their network, etc. So again, the metric that matters is not views, it's going to be demand. You want to stop optimizing for the wrong scoreboard. The way I like to think about it is that if you're an athlete and you're playing in a game, the crowd is going to be that like attention, that virality that we've been talking about. But the actual scoreboard is going to be the demand and the trust and the consistency that you're going to be driving. So the questions that I ask here are like, are the right people remembering you? Your ideal clients, your ICP, the person that you should be speaking to on every single piece of your content, they should recognize your name and they should associate it with some type of specific expertise. The second thing is like, are they engaging with your ideas repeatedly? Consistent engagements are what signal like that trust and interest. So you want to watch for patterns with people. The more you are on your content, the more you'll realize like the same people are coming back over and over and over again. And just as much as they feel like they know you, you're going to feel like you know them as well, which is a huge win. And then lastly, are they taking action? Are they DMing you? Are they replying to your content? Are they clicking and are they booking? And that behavior right there is going to show intent. It's going to show readiness to buy. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's also going to help you, again, bring money into your bank account. Remember, vanity metrics are not what's paying invoices. We need to really focus on what drives like real business outcomes here. So I have this formula. One thing that I do with Social Playbook, I work with brands and founders on building their personal brand. I also help them work with like their brand content. But from a personal brand standpoint, we have this formula that we go through. And when I work with them, we dive deep into every single one. I'm not going to like challenge everyone here to do this. I'm not going to tell you that you have to do this. But what I found is that in all of the work that I've done within the last like couple of years with Social Playbook, this is truly the roadmap to help you gain some income. I mean, whether you have a 9 to 5 and you're doing this as a side hustle or whether this is your full-time gig. So first and foremost, you want to choose an outcome. On LinkedIn, we see a lot of people who are going for like leadership authority. Everyone wants to be a thought leader. Is being a thought leader really what's going to bring you in some revenue? The answer would more than likely be no, unless you are massive, like I'm not even going to name people because they're not here. Is the outcome that you want revenue, or is the outcome that you want loyalty? Revenue and loyalty can kind of be intertwined together, but when it really comes down to it, do you want to be LinkedIn famous, or do you want to grow your income and maybe live a better life that way? Second, you want to map your story. The best way to sell your services are by having a story tied to it. As you look through LinkedIn and you look at some of the top performing posts, every single one of them start off with, I did this, I messed up this, there's a situation that I was in, X, Y, and Z. This helps build trust across your audience and also helps build relatability with people too. A lot of people are going to like a lot of people are going to engage with your content because they are relating to it. And when you put it in your own personal story, people can actually like relate to it and say, oh, well, that's happened to me. And then they feel more compelled to engage and talk and have a conversation with you. And then this third piece is really key. Then you intertwine your story with your offer, right? So you always lead with the story. That's how you're going to hook people. That's how you're going to get them into your post. Nowadays, you have maybe 1.5 to 2 seconds to like actually capture someone's attention. So don't start it off with the offer because that's going to have somebody immediately scrolling. This also allows you to sell without actually selling. So by rooting it in a story, you could talk about how this brought you to X offer, X service, X business that you're running. And that's what gets people to go, oh, okay, I really trust Sergey. I really trust Alex. I understand their story. I know who they are. And I actually want to be a customer of theirs, right? It's 2026. How much AI content is out there now? I was reading the other day in a report that in the most, this is the most our world has ever been connected, but consumers feel very disconnected. And content that feels like humans wrote it, humans scripted it, humans were in front of the camera is what's winning right now because it's authentic and people are looking for authenticity. Then you want to repeat what works. I have a kind of fun for me, at least, example to show you guys after this. I think it's on the next slide on repeating what works. Consistency compound. So like as you find like the winning formula, like continue doing that. Don't be afraid to show like your authentic self within that. That includes being vulnerable, being genuine, and also like, you know, sharing your opinions. I always say don't share like polarizing opinions, but that does help drive virality if that's what you're looking for. Um, and then lastly, just engage like a real human. You know, you want to show up where conversations are happening. You want to be in the comment sections. You want to be providing value or at least your opinion or your point of view. People will recognize that. You know, if someone sees your post, but maybe they don't relate to that post, but then they go to someone else's post and they see that you're engaging in the comments, you're having real conversations, they're more compelled to go back to your page and find a post that they relate to, follow you, you know, click through to your website, maybe even book a session with you or book some of your services if that's what they see fit as well. So I'm just going to go through these steps like really quickly because I kind of like walked through them as I was going through that slide. But with step one, you want to decide what you want your content to do, whether that's authority, revenue, or loyalty. Different outcomes do require different content strategies. So you really want to be clear on your goal before you create. And you also want to be clear on who your like ICP is, you know, your target market, because every single message that you put out there should be directed towards them and also like aligned within the positioning of something that they would care about. This was step two. People buy belief before they buy that product. So your story is like this bridge to trust. Like if you think about it as a bridge, like your audience is sitting over here and your services and what you're selling is over here. People need a bridge to get over there. And frankly, they need a little bit of hand holding too. So the only way that you're going to get them is by hooking them in with your story, relating to them, showing the why behind what you do, and sharing very specific details that like create credibility and relatability. And you want people to see the journey and the struggles and like the breakthroughs. That's what people, I mean, if you go back to like ancient times, like when people would tell stories, it was always about some journey, some struggle or some breakthrough. People relate to those types of stories. They'll put it back into their own personal lives and think, wow, this is me. I want to be a part of this. Always remember that authenticity wins. I don't care what you read about AI and how AI is taking over. You as a human are very unique in the experiences that you live and the perspectives that you have. And by being authentically you, like not many people are going to be able to like take over that and make it up into an AI model. This is one of my favorite sayings. You want to lead the horse to the water, but you don't want to dunk its head. So this is that bridge that I was just talking about. You know, your offer should feel like a natural next step. It shouldn't feel like a hard pitch. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but like I get so many cold emails from people and it feels like a pitch immediately. And I just delete it. And then they follow up and then they follow up and then they follow up. And then at that point, it's like I'm responding saying, please take me off your email list because I don't ever want to talk to you again or hear from you again. The way you do this is you give value, you share your insights, your lessons, and your frameworks. You show your process. So you want to reveal like your unique perspective and approach and how you got to that process too. Like I told you guys how like, I went viral on LinkedIn and then had no idea what to do after that. Now that was what, 9 years ago. Things have changed since then, obviously, but like by showing my own personal process and how I even got to this point has helped me land many, many clients. And then you want to invite softly. I think the biggest thing about LinkedIn is so many people are just like throwing offers out there left and right that it's hard for consumers and people to just make a decision. When you're forcing someone to make that decision, they're never going to buy. It's just true. But when you invite someone softly to come into your ecosystem or your network, essentially, they feel more compelled. And then frankly, they feel like they're making that decision on their own based off of their knowledge and what they know about you. You always want to provide that value first. You never want to provide pressure through content. Like that's a quick way to lose out on people. Um, your content is not a Netflix premiere. I want you to remember that. I had a long conversation with the founder that I worked with about a month ago, and she has one post that's worked so well every single time we've posted it. And she keeps saying, and this was a post from like 2 years ago when I first started working with her. And she kept saying, but I feel like people already know this. Like I feel like this is just not going to work. Like I don't understand why it's worked again over and over again. And the reason for that is because when you post something, it reaches a certain audience, right? And say it's like mine. So my example here is that the first time I posted one piece of content, I got 9 million views. The second time I got 11 million views. And then the third time I got 15 million views. So those first 9 million people saw it, engaged with it, liked it, whatever it may be. I made the conscious decision to repost it about like 6, 7, 8 months later, just because frankly, I didn't have any content to post for that day. So I wanted to put something back out. And also I wanted to test this framework that I had learned, the strategy that I had learned. To my surprise, it worked really, really well. And I realized, okay, what people are talking about actually works. And the reason for that is because the first 9 million people that saw it, well, time is so much time has passed by. Even if they did see it, they're going to re-engage with it because they still relate to it. They might go, oh, I've seen this before, but it doesn't matter because it's something that they enjoyed. You're also reaching a completely different audience or complete same audience in the pool of audience, but a different subset of people within that audience. And then the third time I posted it, it drove me insane because I was like, how the hell is this going so crazy? From 9 to 11 to 15 million views. And what I realized was like consistency compounds. Like I was being more and more consistent with my content over time, posting the same message over and over again. It's never going to hurt you. And frankly, like people are going to relate. If they relate to it the first time, they're going to relate to it the 30th time. And what I saw with my client too was when she posted it again and again, she did get more engagement over time, but she also grew her client base. And that was like the most fun part was she was like, this one singular piece of content is working really, really well. What can we do to riff off of it? And that's where my team and I came in and we kind of created different angles, different headlines, different formats off of it. And we found kind of like her formula for success. The last step here, guys, I'm not a fan of these AI visuals, by the way, so I apologize for that, y'all. But comments are the new networking. When you just go in there and drop emojis or like put like, oh, this is great, awesome. No one's reading that, not even the person who made the post, right? So you want to go in there, you want to add real value, you want to share a genuine thought, add in your point of view, a relevant example, or some type of like insightful perspective. And frankly, if you don't have anything to say, save the post, come back later, and maybe you do have something to say later. Like it's crazy how the human mind works, but you don't want to just go in there to drop an emoji just because you think it's going to like get your name to the top of the list because frankly, it's not going to. Unless it's like a comedy post on Instagram and like you drop like a funny meme, that's a different story. But then we also talk about like what's your goal at that point, but that's besides the fact. And also people do read comments. Like I've seen so many comments on TikTok, Instagram, any like video platform where people are literally posting like here for the comments. There's a lot of memes out there about like grabbing your popcorn and going to like read the comments based off of someone's post. The same goes for LinkedIn. People want to see what other people are saying. They want to find more insight and they want to also understand like different points of view there. I know I only have 9 more minutes, so I'm going to kind of like breeze through this stuff. Um, AI. Whew, I was just talking about how AI is not going to replace us. Don't like, I see someone laughing at that because I'm just going to say, like, don't quote me on that. Um, but it should speed you up. It shouldn't replace you, right? Like I said, you're unique. You're authentic. Like your authentic self is very unique. The way that I use AI for my content is I go in, I write a quick prompt like, "Hey ChatGPT, hey Gemini, hey Claude, hey Perplexity, hey whoever, I need you to help me refine this message that I'm going to be posting, and I need you to keep it in my authentic voice." And then I stream of conscious write it out the same, or I'll say it to my phone, right? Like I just say everything out. I blurt it out. I forget stuff, and I'm like, oh wait, and don't forget this, and don't forget that. But you want to capture your raw thoughts and your voice first, and then you want to use AI to refine that. Let AI structure it, tighten it, repurpose it, but you need to keep that tone 100% yours. Otherwise, it's going to come across as what some people consider AI slap. I'll just say whatever to that. If it sounds like you, it sounds like you. But in a world of AI generated content, authenticity is your moat. So do not let automation erase like what makes you unique. And if you want content that sells, you need to do this. And it's just recapping everything. Pick an outcome. You need to post 3 story backed insights. Like that's kind of the first step I would take. I would add only one soft CTA to the end of those. Like the third post should have a soft CTA. The rest of them do not. And then I would engage intentionally. I block out time on my calendar every single day to go and engage on posts on LinkedIn, on Substack, on Instagram, yada yada, because I have thoughts and POVs and opinions that I want to share with other people. And frankly, some other people are saying things that like I thought of. I'm not going to post it because they already thought of it, but I sure as hell am going to go comment on it because I still have an opinion on it. So I am offering a 1 hour LinkedIn demand audit strategy session, and you will also get a 60-day content calendar working with me. Um, I thought I was going to be able to drop the link in the chat here. So I'm going to ask Sergey to do that. I'm bringing this back for y'all just because like I enjoy Alex. I've enjoyed all the conversations I've had with him. Sergey, I think, is like a really nice, genuine dude. Um, my calendar is crazy, but like I really wanted to get back into this because it is a passion of mine. So typically I would charge like $1,500 for it. But today only for this conference, I'm charging 750. I only have 10 spots available. So, well, actually it's 9 now because somebody from the conference messaged me earlier asking if they could see the deck and all that stuff because they weren't going to be able to be here. But I really want to be able to like help you dive into like how do you convert, how do you get people on your side, and how do you build trust. This is a long game, y'all. I can't promise you 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 worth of sales by tomorrow, but I can promise you that you're going to grow your revenue significantly month over month. And by the end of a year, you're going to look back and be very happy and excited that you took this offer. So again, I'm not selling y'all. I mean, if I still have 9 spots available by tomorrow, then that's fine. Um, but yeah, really excited to offer this to this like very unique and awesome subset of people. And from that, we'll get into the Q&A. I know we only have like 6 minutes left, but ask me anything. You guys had great questions for VJ right before me, so I'm a little nervous about that. But yeah, feel free to shoot them my way because I'm an open book, y'all. If you couldn't tell, I cuss. I'm very laissez-faire in terms of how I present. So hit me.
Thank you so much, Chase. Yes, yes, you are open playbook, let's say. And we have several questions for you, right? So let's start from the easiest one, right? Just to warm up. If someone is stuck between authority, revenue, and loyalty, how do you recommend they choose one primary goal without losing the others?
Yeah, I mean, you can focus on you can focus on revenue without losing authority. Um, the one thing about LinkedIn that like I'm not a big fan of, and I'm just going to say it out loud, is that credibility has a lot of it carries a lot of weight. The companies you've worked at, the accomplishments that you've had, et cetera. So if your number one goal is authority, having that credibility built in already is an easy feat to get over, and then you're able to kind of like grow revenue and loyalty from there. If you are focused on revenue, you can still grow your authority. I would just say it really comes down to like your storytelling and your ability to storytell. If you tell your story in a way that is breakthrough, it talks about the struggle and it's very authentic to you. You may not hit the first time, you may not hit the third time, you may not hit the fifth time, but by the 10th time, you're going to refine that story to a point where you understand what gets people to engage. And if you're doing that consistently, you add a soft CTA in, then you're able to grow authority and grow revenue at the same time. But I would say prioritize. What's your short term goal? What's your long term goal? If your short term goal is build authority and long term goal is build revenue, then focus there and then bring the revenue in piece in, but bring it in slowly. If it's the opposite, then I would say focus on building revenue first and foremost. And then secondarily, you'd want to go become a thought leader and start looking at how you could speak at conferences and write your own book, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how I would answer that one.
Okay, okay. No, it's really cool. Thank you so much. So we have another question from LinkedIn Live. How do you personally decide when a CTA is too aggressive versus when it's actually helping the buyer move forward?
That's a great question. I mean, you could always look at analytics, right? Like, are people going to my website? Are people clicking on my Calendly? Are people clicking on this and that? Um, that is always like a key indicator. But I think it really comes down to taste. Like, I would take my CTA and compare it across others that I would see on LinkedIn. I think research is huge. Looking up in the search bar, like whatever service it is that you sell as a keyword and filtering based on like what's the highest performing versus the not highest performing and making sure that they're organic posts, not the ones that are like boosted and says like sponsored by. But frankly, take those, put it into ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, and have Claude or Gemini replicate that, but within your own voice. And I think you'd be surprised how efficient and effective it is for you or for anyone else that's trying to write a soft CTA. But don't try to hard sell. Like, buy this now, do this now, do this now. Like, I'm a parent. I don't talk to my kids like that because they don't respond that way. You know, if I tell them this looks like more fun, they typically end up going that way because it's softer, right? I see Mary laughing because she probably is in the same boat. So I would think about it from that standpoint.
Yes, you have to yell at your kids, all right? But not your customer.
Yeah, my kids definitely aren't my customer, but they drain my bank
So,
account. They don't build it yet, at least hopefully.
yeah. Yes, yes. So I guess we have time for one last question. Of course, we have more than that. I'm gonna collect all the questions and send you over LinkedIn, and
It
we
sounds
will add
perfect.
them to the report. So, how do you know when to repeat an idea versus when to let it go? What tells you this is working?
Yeah, I would say like, and Mary, I'll keep this short so I don't like cut into your time. Ideas are always repeatable. It's never that the idea is bad, it's that the framing of the idea is bad. And I wouldn't even say bad. It has opportunity for being better. Um, if you take a look at like your last 10 posts, or if you're just getting started, take a look at like what your goal is, right? How many people are on your LinkedIn within your network and following you? And say like a 10% engagement rate is like really, really high. A 5% engagement rate is really good. Anything less than that, we might want to kill. If you feel in your gut that this idea is really good, test framing it in different ways. I think the one thing about content is that it's always about testing and learning. It's never about like, this is fully it. You're, you're it's either this or it's not that. Um, for example, I've done that many different times on like video content and also on like written content. Also tested like putting a picture underneath it, whether it's a personal picture or it's a diagram. And you'd be surprised on what people actually like resonate with and how people enjoy being talked to. And I hate saying talk to because you want it to feel authentic and like it's a community and you're talking with people. But it's all about the messaging at the end of the day. So I would just take a look at like, what are my top KPIs? Not to sound too businessy, but like, do I want to grow authority? Do I want people to click through to my website? Do I want people to book with me? And it becomes very clear over time what's working and what's not working. You just got to test a bunch of different things. I hope that
Okay,
answers the
okay.
question.
Yes, 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 sure, for sure. And one last question for me personally. Is it Dion Sanders short on your
That is
background?
Deion
Yes,
Sanders.
yes.
Yeah. See, you know more
I
about
want.
Atlanta than you're giving yourself credit for.
Yes, a bit. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, it was the last question. Thank you so much for your
It was a
time,
pleasure.
participating.
Thank you,
Okay,
everyone.
I hope I will see you in our upcoming webinars. send you info
Absolutely.
via LinkedIn. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye bye.